everyone. Welcome to the newest edition of Healthy Kitchens, Healthy Lives. My name is Dana and I am the Functional Integrative Dietitian here at Lifescape Premier. I wanted to let all of you know that these classes are part of a much bigger program of things that we do here, and that we have lots of other entities in this fabulous building, including esthetician, and we have personal training services, as well as the nutrition piece. And just so you know, you don't have to be a member of Lifescape in order to see me. You can just work directly with me, and then if we need a medical provider, we can go just letting you. I think we're back on. Apologize if there was a blip in time. We had a technical error. If any of you missed the introduction, I am Dana Bosselman, dietitian for Lifescape Premier, and today we're making a Oriental salad. It's called the Thai chicken salad, and this recipe comes from a recent virtual conference I attended, and it was with the Culinary Institute of America. And it was absolutely a wonderful, fabulous treat for me to be in a conference that really focused on food first and then translated the science and the evidence into dishes that were yummy and delectable and easily made. And so I picked this from the selection that they offered and wanted to share it with you. And then as we go through and make this recipe, I'm also going to talk about 3 foundational concepts that they talked about throughout the course of the conference. And the first one is actually really simple. It's make as much of your own food as you can from scratch. And that doesn't mean that you have to do everything. Like, you don't have to soak beans overnight if you don't want to do it. Okay. All right, we're back again. I'm not sure how this video is going to go, but there'll be bits and pieces of it for all of you to take a hold of. So what I'm talking about is the 3 main principles that I learned from the Culinary Institute of America virtual conference. And I just reviewed the first one, which is make as much of your food as you can in your own kitchen. And that way you can look at the ingredients and the quality and customize it to your specific dietary needs or those in your household. And then the second concept is following what we call a plant-forward diet or plant-based diet. There's actually quite a few terms I wanted to share with you. Sometimes people call it a farm-to-table, which is lovely, and that to me brings up this image of everyone sitting around a big long picnic bench under big oak trees. And then there's sometimes people refer to it as a protein flip, which is kind of fun. And I've been talking to people about that in terms of when you build your plate, build it with your vegetables first, your green portion and your colorful portion, and then add the protein portion after that. In the old ways it was put on a piece of steak, add a little bit of potato, and I guess there's this much room for broccoli. So if we protein flip it, that's what that means. And then there's flexitarian, there's veg-centric, which is kind of cute, or plant-centric, and then there's also plant revolution. There's so many different ways to think about this, but really what we're looking at is just having like a 75% composition on your plate of plants and fruits and fresh nuts and seeds, maybe legumes, and also herbs and spices. So the dish that I'm bringing in today really features all of those things, and it has 3 fresh herbs. We're going to use cilantro, mint, and Thai basil, which is a kind of basil. It's a little bit different than the traditional basil we buy, and it actually does say that on the label. And so this is what's left from what I was chopping up. And it's really a beautiful, pungent basil. It has little flowers on it, and it's got a little tinge of pink or purple on the leaves, and they're longer and skinnier than the other basil plants. So if you can't find the Thai basil, it's fine. Just use regular basil. But try to get these herbs fresh. When we eat fresh herbs, it really makes the food pop, and it adds a whole nother layer of nutrition to your dish. And it's so simple. And when you cut them up, it's just like bringing a garden into your kitchen. It's amazing how aromatic they are. Just keep in mind they're really delicate, so you don't want to put them in heat, and you also don't want to cut them in advance like the day before, because they'll wilt and die. So you want to cut them right before you're going to use it, and only use as much as you're going to eat at that time, because again, they're very delicate. So with that being said, I wanted to start off with making the dressing. And on the recipe it says honey lime vinaigrette. We're going to be using a little bit of maple syrup instead of honey, because for the simple fact that our honey has become really hard and I didn't realize that until just now. So it's one of those things, right? When you're in the kitchen, you're always thinking about shifting and what we say pivoting, where if one thing isn't right, then the other thing might be. And you may not even want to use any of the sweetener. That's fine too. So it's up to you, because we're putting a lot of fruit juice in this, and that's naturally sweet. So for those of you who have weaned yourself off of a lot of sugar, that may seem like perfectly fine to you. So again, this is a template, and you can adjust it as you want. So what we're going to do is add all the ingredients in as they appear. So this is a fish sauce. And this is a red boat fish sauce. It's the best quality fish sauce that I can find out there. And it's very, very strong and a bit salty. So I don't recommend, going overboard on this, because you will definitely need to adjust. So we're just going to put in 1 tablespoon of the sauce. And like I said, it's pretty intense. That wasn't quite a full tablespoon. So we're going to do that. And then once you buy this and open it, I do keep it in the refrigerator for freshness, because this isn't an item I personally use on a day-to-day basis, so I want to make sure that I keep it fresh. And then we're going to add the juice of 2 limes. And I just cut these in half. And this is a really good time, if you don't have a citrus squeezer, to get one, because they are life altering. It makes cooking so much more fun, and they're available pretty much everywhere you could imagine. And so you just stick your lime in there and squeeze away. And then I always do a little tilt, just because there tends to be a bit of juice hiding in the edges, and we want to get all the goodness out. And again, this is very aromatic and refreshing, and it's also fun. So if you have other people in your household that are just thinking about cooking, especially younger ones, this is a great way to get them involved. I find that kids really love eating food that they've made. And I just got a request recently for a very young patient who would benefit from this. So that's the lime. And then next we're going to move on to the orange. So we're going to switch to the bigger section. And then I've chopped the orange up into sections to make it more manageable. And this is a cara orange. That's a type of orange that you can't find year-round. And I recommend, if you haven't had a cara, please go out and get one. There's something special about that variety that is just unbelievable. So this is just one whole cara, and if you have a juicer and you want to just put them in all at once, that's fine too. And otherwise you can share the fun with other people in your household, or you can just have it on your own. And be careful, because it's juicy and it's coming out quite a bit. So we're almost there. And then one more. And again, the aroma from this is wonderful. It's just a reminder of how vibrant living food is. And that's something that we should take note of. And then the next piece is I've chopped up some grapefruit chunks, and this is just a pink grapefruit, and we're going to squeeze this into the mixture as well. And remember, citrus is really high in vitamin C, and that's an immune booster, and something that you can absorb much more readily from food than you can from supplements. We certainly use vitamin C supplements here, And there's a time and place for supplements, but we always say food first, or I do. And if you've got your food first, then you may not need as much supplementation or as long, and your body will thank you for it. So as we're squeezing away, I just want to talk about this idea again of plant-forward eating or plant-centric eating. And that doesn't mean you can't have animal products. Like today, we are making a chicken salad, and I don't normally use much protein in my food demonstrations because I feel like people are fairly confident about that. But I decided to add this today because it's such a yummy combination. And it's all about the quality of the protein. So if you're adding chicken, just look for organic chicken or chicken that's been out to pasture and raised that way and not given lots of antibiotics and hormones. And when you choose quality meat, oftentimes it tastes so much better and it's very flavorful and you don't need to eat as much. So that's the idea. Remember the protein flip. So it's not just about starting your plate with a bunch of vegetables, but it's about choosing quality protein. So we're flipping on that side too. And it does make a difference, and it is worth it for the extra money it costs because you're going to be eating a smaller portion of it. So it might probably will end up evening out, is my guess. Okay, so there we go. There's a lot of squeezing there. And then you can just see how that mixes up. And this is one of the best ways to get all of your C in one shot. And then the next thing we're going to do is add some olive oil. And I don't want you to ever think about a salad without oil. If you don't want olive oil, you can try avocado oil. You can put flax or walnut oil because it's cold. That's fine too. But the reason I do that is because olive oil helps bring out the fat-soluble vitamins in the greens and also lends a lot of satiety. If you just eat a bunch of steamed vegetables, most of you have experienced this, you'll be hungry in half an hour. And then what do? You go and look for some carbohydrates because your blood sugar's dropped and you want to find something quickly to bring you back up. And we don't need to do that. So I just realized there's no salt. Usually I put salt in dressings, but again, that fish sauce is really salty. So I think we're going to be good there. So I'm just whisking it with the fork just to make sure that it's nicely combined. And it's easy to do. And then I just go ahead and add it right away to the already chopped romaine lettuce. I just pre-chopped it, washed and blotted it dry with towels so it wasn't too runny, and then pre-chop. And then pre-dress the salad and then toss it together. And that gives everything a chance to sort of blend. And as I say, meet and greet. The flavors get to see each other and say hi and start forming a partnership. So once you bring in the other ingredients, there's harmony. And I always believe in harmony when you're cooking in all ways. And when I was prepping all this food for the demo, I was playing some very peaceful yoga kind of music and bringing that good, happy energy into the food. So the staff here will get to eat this today, and I hope all of them walk away feeling happier and more satisfied. So there we go. There's our harmony blending starting. And then we're going to start adding all the other stuff, which is really super easy. So I chopped up some red onion. And if you want, you can make it into small bits and pieces, but I really like in a salad it to be kind of long and really thin. Onion is strong, and so you want to be mindful of that. And you may or may not want to use as much as you cut up. But I just separated all the pieces apart so I could make sure that it was indeed thin enough. And I'm going to go ahead and just use it because why keep, two slices out? And then the next thing that we're going to add is the cucumber. And this is a half of a long English cucumber. And I just love these. They have such good flavor. They're usually always crisp. And I actually ate a whole cucumber this morning for part of my breakfast. Not a huge one like this, but close. just because it's so refreshing. And so what I wanted to do is show you, I ended up cutting it into these small pieces on an angle. And so what you want to do is just take a slice down the middle, so that you, whenever you have a round vegetable, you want to create a flat surface so you can put it down. And then once it's down flat, it's not going to roll around on you. And then just put your knife at an angle and just do some nice slender cuts. If you have a mandolin, you can do that too. But so you're just running the knife at an angle, and then you can take these and dot them into your salad. So I just wanted to show you that specifically. And it does make a difference, the shape of our food. We eat with our eyes, we eat with our nose, we also then eat with our mouths. But all of that comes into play. So the shape of the foods, and they all have to sort of blend together. So right now you can see what we've got is, you can see how these create a nice harmony together. They make sense. If this was little tiny bits and pieces and this was a big chunk, the flavors don't really work in the mouth as well. So you have to think kind of technically as well. This is how artists think, I imagine, when you're putting together a canvas or something, of how do all the textures match, and what are the tones and that kind of thing. So then next what I'm going to do is add chunks of fresh grapefruit and cara orange. And so I learned this method from, I don't know, somebody really smart. And what you do is, as you have the whole fruit, is just cut the peel off with a paring knife. You can peel it off with your hands if you like, but you'll still get that white pith on the edge, and then you'll have to mess with that. So it's much easier if you just cut it in half, put the half of the fruit down, and then slice like an umbrella, slice it down, and then cut it into chunks and pieces. So here's the pink grapefruit and the cara orange. And so we're just gonna dot this in here. And for some of you, you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's a lot of sugar in this. Well, you know what? It's really balanced out, because each bite is gonna have a variety of flavors and tastes. And I don't want you to be afraid of fruit. There's certainly situations of people who have running really high blood sugars and need to get those under control, or other high triglycerides or other situations. But we need to include a little bit of fruit as a good, healthy source of carbohydrate in our diet and not be afraid of it. I think we've gone a little bit too far with this carbohydrate-free phase. And I'm seeing people come up with things like insomnia, fatigue, poor athletic performance, trouble thinking during the day. And oftentimes what I find is they're on what we call an accidentally low-carb diet. They're not necessarily trying to cut all the carbohydrates out, but they have by default. And for my folks who are really athletic, that doesn't work. You will not be able to maintain your workouts and your stamina and your endurance without some sort of carbohydrate in the day. So fruit's a great way to do that, because it's packed with nutrients and it's all whole, natural, fresh. So, and it adds great color. Look at this salad, it's already just absolutely gorgeous. And then the next thing I want to do is start adding the fresh herbs. So this is the mint I cut up earlier, just about an hour ago. So it's still pretty fresh, and I cut it into small pieces. And then you can just sprinkle it over the top. And be abundant with this. It's really amazing when people bite into this. They can't believe how simple and how good. And then the next two herbs we have are the cilantro and the basil, and I chop those up nice and small. Again, all of the sizes have to blend together so that you don't have a mismatch of taste and flavor in the bite that you're getting. So you're just sprinkling in all the herbs. And this is another reason I dress the lettuce first, because if you dress it second and you want to put all the stuff in here and then you toss it, you lose the beautiful value of what's in front of you. And so I don't want that to happen. And then the final thing is we're going to put some slivered almonds. These are just raw. You can toast them in advance. The recipe says to do that. I just decided to keep them raw, and they're wonderful that way. And I like, again, the shape. Keep in mind, see how the shapes are all matching up? It's like a puzzle, and you put it all together, and then it's fantastic. So I'm just sprinkling these on so they add a nice burst of fiber and protein. And guess what? I'm so used to plants that I forgot the chicken. So let's bring that in now. Here's the chicken all cooked in advance. And I wanted you to know, it doesn't say this on the recipe, but I did use a little bit of this salt seasoning. It's called Herbamare. And you can buy it on Amazon groceries if you're using that right now. And it's just a blend of sea salt and organic herbs. And it's really a fantastic taste enhancer. So what I do is I warm up some oil. I used avocado oil in this instance. And then I sprinkled some of this in the pan and then cooked the chicken and then tossed it to coat. They don't say to do any of that in the recipe, but I do think it's important to put a little bit of seasoning on the chicken, even though it's going to take up a lot of flavor from the salad. Every single bite needs to sort of have its own thing. You know, like each person needs their own thing, their own purpose, their own reason to live. This is true for chicken too. So give your chicken its thing. And then I'm just gonna place some chicken on the top of the salad. And you could obviously leave this out if you're not interested in adding chicken, or you just want a salad on its own, or you can add it however you like. I think our staff's going to be thrilled because I don't usually use chicken. And I suspect some of them left their lunches behind knowing I was cooking today. I know I did. So there you go. So now we have the chicken and it's all meshed in there. And we'll just kind of sort it out a bit. And now we've got a feast here. I hope the staff are hungry because it is quite a bit of food. And then the last thing I want to talk about is that very thing about being hungry and ready to eat and sit down and just start going full force into your meal. And that's the other concept they talked about at the conference, and we talk about it here already, and it's mindfulness. And mindfulness can be applied to every situation in your life, but here in this instance, we're applying it to food and eating. And I found this really cute little piece online that I'll show you, and I just printed it out. And so there's these categories. There's mindless eating and mindful eating. And mindless eating, as you can see, talks about the things that we do when we're distracted and we're not aware and we're not paying attention to the food. It's just like a means to an end, basically. I'm hungry, I need to not be hungry anymore. And sometimes that's the reality, and it's okay. But if we can at least make some what I call like sacred pauses in our day, maybe it's not the lunch hour if you have a full work schedule and a lot going on, but certainly give yourself, maybe it's the morning, get up 15 minutes earlier and give yourself a more mindful breakfast. If you're not eating breakfast because you're intermittent fasting, have a mindful cup of tea. Or if you're not doing that, have a mindful dinner, where you slow down. Also, it's about recognizing if you're emotionally eating or if you're really truly hungry. And that can really make a big difference. We tend to train ourselves to eat at certain times. And if we train ourselves to eat every couple hours, that's emotional eating. It's not really, you can't possibly be hungry every hour. I think it's just sort of this trigger that we're getting. So when you eat a really well-balanced meal like this, you certainly wouldn't be hungry for at least 2 or 3 hours. And that would allow you to put your mind to other things that you're interested in doing or need to do. And then also thinking about this idea of where food comes from. And this circles us back to the whole idea of quality. And are you able to buy from farmers markets? I know there's a couple right by my house that are just really booming right now. And if you're not, maybe you can order from some local farms that do green boxes. And we have resources for that here. If you're interested in learning more, then I can share those. And then the final thing is considering how you put together your meal and how you share it with other people. And sometimes it's easier to create a beautiful meal when you know other people are eating with you and you do it really for them. but also remembering that being mindful and is taking care of yourself too. And so I make an effort when I eat alone to still sit down. I have flowers in my kitchen all the time that I buy, routinely. And I'll set music out that's nice. So do that kind of stuff that helps increase your cephalic digestion, and it helps increase your ability to actually slow down and chew and swallow and get all your digestive juices going and have a better opportunity to really benefit from the meal you've just made. So what we've done today took very little time. The prep was easy. You can make the chicken a couple days in advance if you want, and then you can morph it and you can change it around as you want. You can do different proteins, you can do different greens, you can use some spinach in there or Swiss chard. There's a whole host of options for you. So any comments, place them below. And again, remember, if you want some help personalizing your diet, or you want some help working through some therapeutic conditions or things that are just giving you a hard time, the internet is a great resource, but it's massively confusing. And so personalization is the key, and I'm happy to help you do that. So reach out to the front desk or go on our website and schedule something with me if you would like that help. And let your friends know if they're not a LifeScape member, they can still get some help. And tune in again next time. Next month we'll be making another delicious dish on the Healthy Kitchens, Healthy Lives episode. For now, thank you so much. Have a blessed day.